have a special guest with us. Her name is Laura, and her cosplay name is Rebel. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Still alive. That's what I always aim for.
um, do you want to let us know what your cosplay page is, please?
Yes, it's Rebel Among the Stars Studios, or just Rebel ATS.
How did you come up with that name?
Well, I was called Rebel for a long time. It was my nickname, since past high school. Uh, and then just decided one day that I like space, I like stars, so I'm the Rebel Among the Stars.
That's kind of cute. Sort of reminds me of Star Trek. I'm no Star Wars though.
It is a little bit of the Star Wars there because of the Rebel Alliance and Star Wars, and it's also kind of short for rats. So it has so many different meanings that it's nonstop.
Now, you got into cosplaying about what, 10 years ago?
Yeah, I started costuming long, long ago. Cosplayed, having fun. I actually didn't realize that it was called cosplay or costuming outside of October was called like costuming and cosplay until about like 2006, 2007.
Um, did you find that out when you went to your first convention, or how did that work out?
Yeah, I found out about that from my first convention because I always wanted to go to San Diego Comic-Con. I'm like, okay, let's go. And then I'm like, there's people that can costume and it's not Halloween? This is my people.
That would be pretty cool for your first time. How old were you when you went to your very first con?
Oh, goodness. I have to think for a sec. I think I was 20, 21. I think it's 20, either 19 or 20.
And I'm guessing that you just like completely fell in love with it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was a very big comic book geek for a long time. I still had that mentality that you don't want to talk about that you're into comic books and you don't want to talk about that you're into games. And I still wanted to go to a comic convention. And finally I went. I'm like, this is exactly what I want. I have comic books, I've got costumes, I can geek out, and I have no problem here. Let's do it.
Um,
So it was very much love at first sight, or first convention.
I remember the first time I went to a convention. It was 13 years ago. My son was 13, and I took him to what's called Animation in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I was in complete awe over the costumes. And I walked up to somebody, I'm like, what is that? And they told me what they were, and I'm like, wasn't that expensive to buy? And she's like, no, buy? No, I made this. And I just fell in love. It was like love at first look type thing.
Yeah.
Because it is so amazing how much details that you cosplayers put into this. How many of your costumes have you handmade from
Oh,
start?
goodness. Let's see. I did all of my armors. Uh, some of them were like pieces of my closet that I altered and changed to turn into costumes. There was, let's see, I'd have to say, I know at least almost every single one I put something to it. There's, I think, maybe 2 or 3 that I've bought, and then the rest of them I just pieced together or completely made.
What is your most favorite one of all time?
Ooh. I have to say one of my favorite ones is the Solarian, because it's just so much fun, especially with the helmet, and it has like the Solarian face on it, so it always freaks people out. But I really also love being as Marvin, because I'm crawling around on my knees, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's so cool!" It's there's probably like a little kid inside, and then I turn around and they see the rest of my legs, and they're like, "There's a tall person in there. There's an adult in there." Plus, with that one, I get to mope around and act depressed, which is completely the opposite of what I am.
Yeah, you seem definitely a very fun, upbeat person, so I don't know, I think I'd have a hard time seeing you as a depressed, everything is so terrible, who cares anyways?
Life, don't get me started about life. Yeah, I love Marvin from Hitchhikers. Like, I'm big Douglas Adams fan, so I'm like, okay, I have to do something from Hitchhikers. I don't want to do Trillion. Let's do Marvin. No one's done Marvin, so let's do Marvin.
I love it. I thought it was awesome. Like, and it looks like realistic. It looks really good. I mean, how long did that take you?
Let's see. I worked on that. I think it was actually like 10 days nonstop. My boyfriend helped me a lot with the head. I cut out all the eyes and the shapes onto it, and he helped me in getting some of the dents out of it because it wasn't a perfect sphere. So we had to work it out. And then I had a fun time painting it because it's all one color.
It's amazing. I really, you posted it and I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh. At first I didn't realize, like, it was you inside. I thought maybe you just built it with, like, showing us, and I was like, oh wait, no.
Mm-hmm.
She's inside of it.
I had that issue at, I was at Wizard World, New Orleans recently, and I just did with Marvin right in front of my table, and people thought I was either a remote-controlled animatronic Marvin or it was just a little statue of him until I started moving towards them, and they're like, oh my god, it's actually real!
That's great. One of my favorite things that I see that you've done is I'm a big, huge Doctor Who fan, and I know a lot of other people are, that scarf dress.
Yes.
Now, I heard that scarf dress was actually a happy accident. It was not planned out that way. Is that true?
That is not true. I've wanted to make something like that. Like, I keep seeing all of these TARDIS dresses and even Dalek dresses, and I'm like, I have to do something. And everyone knows Tom Baker's scarf. It is iconic. You can see it. It doesn't matter what color, which one, if it's the burgundy one or if it's the natural one, everyone knows it. And I'm like, okay, how can I turn this into a dress? And so I thought, okay, what if I did one that's just wrapped around me? I'm like, no, let's just turn myself into the scarf by making it just one long dress. And immediately people could pick up that it was Tom Baker's scarf as a dress. Some people had to do a double take because they're like, I know those colors, I know what it's from, but it's a dress.
Yeah, it's definitely, I've never seen anything like it. And you're right, I've seen the TARDIS dress everywhere. Or the people dressing as the Doctor. Or even if it's female, they've done it like, gender swapping and made very girly Doctor, but I've never seen that. And that was definitely, I loved it. I thought it was amazing. I'm like, I want one. Although I could not pull it off like you did. There would be accidents all over the place.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be working on a burgundy one for my friend, because she wants one that actually has like the sleeve top, and so I'm going to be crocheting that sometime within the next month or two for her. It's like it just happened, and now it's like everyone wants one, and I have the shorter version of the dress, but I'm actually working on a tank top version just so I can wear it out on normal days.
I bet you have people coming up to you all the time asking you, hey, where'd you get that? And then when they find out you made it, they're like, oh, can you make me one? Or do you sell those?
Oh yeah, all the time. And that one is actually what I plan on doing at least a few more of, because that seems to be the one thing that everybody wants, because it's not out there. It's
Right?
they've got TARDIS dresses, Dalek dresses, the Doctor, but not the scarf as a dress or is a tank top or anything like that.
No, and if you do see somebody wearing the scarf, you know they're a true Whovian,
Oh
because
yeah.
a lot of the Doctor Who fans that I know don't watch the older ones. In fact, they half the time don't even realize that there are ones before 2005. They're like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, go back and watch it. You'll like it. Or they don't really like it. They're like, it's just too old for me. And I'm like, how could you not love it? They
Oh
had
God.
to emphasis on script back then. That's what carried the show, was the dialogue and the acting. Like, you had to be able to suspend your disbelief a little bit, or your belief a little bit, to watch it. But it's absolutely amazing.
Oh yeah, I absolutely love it, because now we're so spoiled with computer graphics and all that, and then they did the full-on costumes. They went all out and did it right there, and I'm like, I have to give them props, because like one of my favorites is the Pyramids of Mars, and
That's one of my favorites.
and I just love it. Just a big, gigantic mummy guy that looks like he's probably gonna burn because of how much stuff is on him. Just walking around. I'm like, okay, and there he is in the forest. I'm like, please don't let there be a hole, because he's gonna fall right down.
Oh, that's great. Obviously, cosplay. Go ahead.
I would just wanted to let you know that I haven't announced anything about the giveaway, so if you want to do that, or if you have a speech for that.
I was just going to announce it. We have a little contest.
Uh-oh.
Gotta love technology. As she was saying, we on the chat for the YouTube, I have listed a link for random.org. Go there and spin for a number, post the number in the comments area, and we will be doing the contest later on near the end of the show. I will pick a number and offer the random org, and you will win a chance. You have a chance to win a Steam code for War Machine.
Which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, and pretty soon, I think her name, you pronounce it, Elisa, will be coming on the show to be talking about the game. So I'm happy about that one. No, so you like the original Doctor Who's, is what you two were talking about?
Yes, I like both. My favorite is still going to be the more recent one, because Tenet was the one that pretty much got me back into it. So I love the newer ones, but I've watched all of the old ones, and Baker's up there. I actually love Sylvester McCoy of the older Doctors, and Davidson. Pretty much, if I just feel like watching anything, I just put on Doctor Who, because I can literally leave it on all day, and it'll captivate me for hours on end.
I had found some older shows, because, like, Doctor Who is only like 1 year older than me. So I literally have seen, like, all 50 years, just about. And I went back to watch an old one and compared what they use for the science fiction or lasers and stuff flying around back in the day compared to what they use now. It took a lot of skill and a lot of thought back in those days to be able to do that and put a whole show together.
It is. Like, I love watching older TV shows and movies in general, like the older Star Treks and, gosh, I have a lot of film noir movies actually. It's just so interesting how they had to take into effect the lighting, their props, their like every single little detail that had to go into it to make sure that it turned out just right. Like
it's
I give them props to that because there's so much planning that goes into it, and I actually sit back and enjoy every single little detail that they put into it.
right. People are so spoiled nowadays. Now, can you imagine what it's going to be like in the next 30 years?
Oh gosh, I have a feeling that we won't need actors anymore because then they could just pretty much computer graphic them in.
Right?
So that's why I always, if I see somebody making their own movies, I always try to support that because that needs to stay alive.
That is so true. One of the cosplayers, she's the face of GGR, Jennifer Kyrgios.
Hmm.
She does her own web series and her own stunt acting along with it, and I love watching what she does because it's amazing how she goes and she puts it all together. Now, is there like a favorite sci-fi type show that you like?
Oh gosh. Of course, Doctor Who, but I love Red Dwarf. It's kind of a British equivalent to Star Trek, but much, much more wacky. Uh, let's see. I do love Star Trek. Next Generation is probably my favorite. Ooh, there's like so many things. Firefly, if you want to count that as sci-fi, but I count that as, brown coats. There's just so much that I like to watch and am just a big fan of. I kind of immersed myself into every single fandom and found something that I like from it. And just, it's nonstop.
Now, what is the next con that you will be going to? Where can people go to find you?
The next one's going to be a very small one in Shreveport, Louisiana. That's just one that's down the highway from me, so it's a one-day event. That's Louisiana Comic Con. That's going to be the next one, and that's in February. The next big one that I'll be attending is that I know of is going to be C2E2 in Chicago. We go visit my boyfriend's family there, and we both dress up in our Mass Effect costumes and walk around. This year we're hoping to do Marvin and Tomberry, so we could both be on our knees. I'll be moping and he'll be going around stabbing people.
That'll be pretty cool. So your boyfriend does this with you?
Yes, that's actually how we met.
Well, that's pretty amazing.
Hmm.
It's not too often that you find that person that you can click and do that kind of stuff with, you know?
Yeah, and it's nice because we both help each other and support each other. He does a lot of props, like he has his own prop business that he will come and bring his guns out and show them, and he does it while I work on costumes, and he's helped me with my, like the Rainbow Dash sword that I have. He made that for me after I just did a little doodle on a piece of paper of, okay, this is what I want, and he's like, okay, and so he made it a real thing.
Wow, that is so cool.
Hmm.
Now, you won a couple of awards.
Yes.
Like in 2014, you won costume contest. ME3 MP Zillion won the fourth place at the C2E2.
Yeah, that was C2E2. I got fourth place at their general costume contest there. They had a bunch of people from League of Legends to even Space Ghost Coast to Coast, all of the comic book characters, and somehow my Mass Effect Solarian got fourth place overall out of everyone there. Then I've also won quite a few actually with the Mecha Dash, the My Little Pony meets Transformers costume. That one has gotten third place at Fiesta Equestria, best walk-on at Brony Fanfare, second place at BronyCon, which is actually the biggest My Little Pony convention in the U.S. So I was pretty thrilled, mostly with how many people actually like that. Is not even anywhere close to what is normal for My Little Pony, but it's a My Little Pony and robotic thing that is just way out there, yet people like it.
It's pretty amazing. Now, you created the RC Mako. Am I
Yes.
correct?
That is correct.
Now, what gave you the idea of creating that?
Oh goodness, that was my baby. It happened one day, like on the Xbox 360. I used to play Mass Effect multiplayer on that all the time, and one of the avatars you can have is a remote control Mako, and I thought, okay, that's cool that it's in Xbox. No one has made this happen though. So I sat down, I tried a few things. It took a lot of failures. And then finally, like, I found a way how to make it happen. And I put it together. The first one, like everybody, I brought it out to MomoCon, which is in Atlanta. And even though it's an anime convention, people still were like, oh my god, that's the Mako. I hated driving that thing. Like, they could still recognize what it was. And I was so thrilled. I'm like, okay, this is awesome. But I'm not done yet. I have to upgrade it. It's not to how pretty much how I wanted it to be. I had to redo it, which then I completely redid it. I did the body a little bit differently so it could have the actual painted on parts on it. Like, I took the pieces of paper from the model from the game and just made it so I could just kind of put the actual graphics onto the Mako. And then I had Munra Creations do the lighting and all of it, and I did the cannon, which was actually an airsoft gun part, so it could actually shoot BBs.
No way.
Yeah, I haven't shot anybody with it, but I have gone outside in the backyard and had it like fight off a cardboard thresher maw, just for fun.
I would love to see that in person.
Oh, it's so much fun, and because of the fact that the cannon can now go completely 360, shoot things, kids love it, of course. They see something that they can drive around and, of course, shoot people with. They're going to want to play and torture their sisters or brothers.
Right?
So, a lot of people love it. He's my pride and joy. I nicknamed him Bruce because Mako's a shark and Bruce is the shark from Finding Nemo. Kind of had to happen.
Now, have you ever thought of putting that into production?
I have. I've gotten quite a few requests for it. The downside is he took a lot of time. The first one took about 6 months, and then the upgrade took another month. And it's like, people are like, oh, this is so cool, it's so amazing, and oh, how much would it be? And I'm like, I don't even think you guys could afford how much just the electronic parts are. I think just the electronic parts of the board that was for the controls and the little BB gun, even that by itself was almost $100. So
Wow.
and add on to that all the other pieces, and it's easily a few $100s just spent on that, not including all the time that's going to take. One of these days, I probably will make one, but it won't have the remote control. I'll probably just start with like maybe a little big model that people can have and just kind of roll around, because the electronic part, that's what takes the longest. So you have to kind of sit there and make sure everything is right, otherwise there's a lot of troubleshooting.
Right. Have you ever thought about like contacting the creators of Mass Effect and seeing if they would sponsor you into or help you somehow into making some? Even
Uh,
if it's like a little um oh, I can't think of the little cards that you buy in the store for like 99-cent size. You know, the
oh,
little.
like the little Hot Wheels
Yeah,
style
that's
one?
it.
Yeah. I have thought about it once, and I was good friends with one that they showcased the whole Mako building on the BioWare site. Uh, I just don't know if I'm ready for that. Like it is a possibility. It's just there's a lot that goes into it that I'm like I love making my Mako. I'm known as the Mako master. I just don't know if I'm there just yet. I probably will eventually get there because I want to make actual hard shells for it. Because right now it's just a foam shell that's easy to break. Uh, Once I can make a hard shell, then I'll probably get in contact with them and say, "Hey guys, here's a actual Mako that you guys might be interested in having in your store or something like that." And who knows? Fingers crossed. We'll see.
Well, if you ever do, let me know because I'm sure my 26-year-old would love to have one.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. I've had so many people that they are sold the moment they see it driving around.
Yeah, I could imagine. And then like the kids looking at it, I'm quite sure the mothers are like, no, not right now.
Yeah, kids, they
Later.
love it. Although when I was a kid, I loved RC things, so anytime there was something RC, I was instantly like, "Ooh, hold on, I'll be right back."
So, one of your hobbies is pumpkin carving?
Yes, I every October I do a lot of pumpkin carvings.
Now, do you just do regular smiley faces, or do you get into full details of something particular?
I haven't done a regular jack-o'-lantern face for many years. Even when I was little, I was like, oh, you know what? I'm bored of the jack-o'-lantern things, and I don't like the pumpkin masters thing. I'm gonna make my own thing. So I started doing. I think Wile E. Coyote was one of my first ones, and then I did Snoopy, and I just kept making different ones from then on. Every year I try to outdo myself in some way, shape, and form. I love doing pumpkin carvings, and a lot of my friends look forward to it every year. They're like, "Oh gosh, what is she gonna carve this year?"
I'm back. Sorry, y'all. Google is not liking me, apparently. It keeps kicking me out without
Silly
any
people.
warning. Yeah, this happened once before. I think it's maybe because maybe it's got an overload of people, or maybe it's me. I don't know. Anyway, so we announced, did you take up where Google kicked me out, Mary?
Yeah, hun.
Okay, so it's all announced, and I was putting wood. Okay, so I'm, where were we at? I heard you talk about pumpkin.
Yes.
I was
And
going into her hobbies, and I think we lost Christy again.
I think we did. Sad face.
Poor child. At least she tries. And what's this about the Hogwarts quest?
Ah,
In first place?
the Hogwarts crest. I did that on a pumpkin, and it won a few of the pumpkin carving uh, contests that I entered that year. Like one of them, it was it's a group of girls who do their own like music video that is kind of a parody music videos, uh, and they do a lot of Harry Potter ones. And I'm like, hey, you know what? I'll just do the Hogwarts crest and put it in there. And there was a lot of other competitors, and I'm like, they liked the Hogwarts crest as one of the best ones. So I was pretty excited, as I love Harry Potter. I read all the books and then the movies, and so it's another one of those fandoms that I am completely immersed in.
My daughter is a complete fan. We went to every midnight release there was. Since I think the second book, I told her she was too young for the first one. but I know she saw Harry Potter, anything pumpkin, she
Hmm.
would not. She would go and steal it and keep it and find a way to preserve
Yeah, I was gonna say, the pumpkins do rot after a while.
it. Yeah, sadly, because they're like so adorable.
They are. I wish that's the downside to pumpkins is you have to carve them very quickly, and they're not gonna last that long. So it's like, okay, here's my awesome art, and it's kind of a mushy pile that the squirrels are eating now. Okay.
Now, in 2011, fan fiction hacker, you won first place in the BioWare fan club.
Yeah, there's a group on DeviantArt, the Bioware Fan Club, which is, I think, one of the bigger Bioware-themed groups in DeviantArt. They had a contest to take two characters from any of the Bioware games and have them have some sort of altercation or have something that happens between them. And so I did Tally and Legion, uh, who this was back during Mass Effect 2 time, not Mass Effect 3, and I had a little short story that I wrote where Tally was angry at Legion because she was playing an online MMO with him, and he's of course a Geth, so he's hacking the whole game and getting all the parts that she wants, and she can't get them because he's taking them all. And it was such a hit that the group's like, okay, well, we have our winner here. It got even voted as the top story compared to everyone else. And it's still one of many people's favorites to read because it's just a quick, short little thing, but it's just so funny, the altercation.
But that sounds like it was a pretty good story.
It was.
No, you. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay.
Your current projects are WoW, um, Paladin, era armor.
Yes. Doing World of Warcraft armor. My boyfriend and I were going to do World of Warcraft armors together. I swore that I would never play World of Warcraft. I would stay away from it as long as possible. And I started playing last September, and I've been hooked. So I still play it nonstop every single day. But I play as a Blood Elf Paladin, which is very common, but the second one's a Death Knight Troll. For the Horde, yes. But he always wanted to make a World of Warcraft armor, and I thought, okay, you know what? I know you love World of Warcraft. You've been playing it for many, many years. I swore I would never play it, but I will do a World of Warcraft armor with you. And so he showed me all the different ones, all the different tiers, and I finally decided on the challenge armor from Pandaria, and he's going to be doing his tier for his character. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I like this costume. It looks really cool. You know what? If I'm going to be costuming from it, I kind of want to play it just so I know how the Paladin is. And then I was hooked. And so we play every day. Actually, every night we go raiding together or playing dungeons or PvP. And I never got a chance to get the armor I wanted, but I still go through, and now that I'm playing it, I see why he likes it so much and why he likes his armor, and now I'm like, okay, I might not make just this armor. I'm going to have to make a few more armors because I like the design so much. So there's going to be probably quite a few World of Warcraft armors happening this year, and they're probably all going to be Paladin or Death Knight armor.
No, you also one of your projects is the Witcher 3,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to say this wrong. Leshen.
Leshen, that is correct.
Oh yes. What's that thing?
Witcher 3 is not out yet. It's a game that has been around, though. Witcher 1 and 2. I absolutely love the series and was very excited when they announced 3. And I remember it was 2 years ago. I went to E3 with one of my friends, and we went to the Witcher 3 demo. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Let's go see. And they show off a battle between the Leshen, and I was like, I like that guy's design. That's a crazy design. I kind of have to do this. I like this, and I'm watching how it's like moving in the forest and studying it, and I'm like, okay, well, you know what? All I have is just artwork and what I remember from the demo. Okay, we'll make it happen somehow.
Well, sorry. And how about Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
That's gonna be a fun one. For C2E2 this year, a bunch of my friends and I were doing a gigantic group cosplay of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. We all went around. It's like, okay, who's gonna do what? And they're like, okay, Laura, what costume do you want to do? I'm like, Drusilla. I love her crazy, kooky. Oh my gosh, she's very much psychotic nature. And I am a big fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, so we're like, okay, I will do Drusilla, and everyone's like, perfect, that's exactly what we thought you were going to be. You got Drusilla. So it's going to be a gigantic group of us doing that at C2E2, which will be a lot of fun. So if you see a big Buffy group, look for Drusilla, because that's going to be me.
Now, do you want to go ahead and let the viewers know a couple of sites where they can find you at?
Sure. The main one that I post a lot of things on is on Facebook, which is Rebel Among the Stars Studios. You can just type it on the search bar, or go facebook.com/Rebel Among the Stars, all one word. There's also DeviantArt, which is rebelats.deviantart.com. And I'm working on a kind of a blogger thing where eventually I will post tutorials and build advice for people, especially if you're going to be working with gigantic heads or converting Nerf guns to like space age guns. That one is rebelats.blogger or blogspot.com. And I also do a lot of crochet and artisan things that I sell at events, and I sell those at starsspikes.etsy.com.
Now, I'm glad you brought up the crocheting.
Mm-hmm.
I fell in love. I think the hand muffins of the TARDIS.
Yes, I do little, they're like little hand warmers and such like that have like a police box on it. And I make a little wooden TARDIS. Eventually I'll make more. I need more time to do it in.
Now, with all these projects that you're going on, do you find any time for yourself at all?
Oh, yeah. It used to be that I spent a lot of time either working, and usually in December, that's my busiest, so I have absolutely no time to myself. But my boyfriend makes sure that I start taking time for myself, because I used to do so much work and then just feel completely drained. But I also at the same time enjoy doing this so much that I don't feel too stressed out. Like when I'm crocheting, I actually will sit and watch like Doctor Who or Firefly or have a big Buffy marathon. It's at the same time kind of relaxing to do the crochet while I'm watching something. It doesn't feel like work. But every night, like we'll spend time playing World of Warcraft or Mass Effect or Dragon Age. We like to like play games together, like our separate computers. And every now and then, we used to do it quite often, but we would actually do a Google Hangouts and play Cards Against Humanity against all of our friends, which will sometimes turn into a drinking game and sometimes end up really, really in the wrong direction.
So I'm going to guess that you're a big PC gamer.
Yes, I do a majority of my gaming on PC.
Have you ever heard of the game called Path of Excel on Steam? I think it is.
I don't think I have.
I kind of like it. It's I'll be honest, WASD kills me. So I go for the point and click games. I'm old. What do you want? But it is a point and click game. But you get these gems that you can put into your either your bows or your swords or your do mages with. And I love it because of course you go on a bunch of different quests, but I love doing the fire because you get this great big ball of fire just going around in a circle at your feet. So like if stuff come near you, they're gonna die. If you ever get a chance, it's free to play. Look it up.
I will. Like always, gosh, I have so many games on Steam that I still have to play.
Go ahead.
I have a very bad tendency that whenever the Steam sales begin, I start going through and it's like, ooh, I like how this one looks, or ooh, I'm gonna get this one. Then it just sits on there and eventually never gets played. But one day I will play them all.
Well, I forgot what question I was just going to ask you. I tell you, old age is not fun at all. Now, how often do you keep up with your Twitter account?
Oh gosh, Twitter I rarely go on to. I know I should. I go on there like I think maybe once a month. It's mostly Facebook that I have a tendency to stay on because that's where a lot of my friends are. So it's easy for me to keep in touch with them and also plan events with them too. I go on Twitter, just not as often as I do with Facebook. Facebook is kind of, it's on as soon as I am awake and it's off as soon as I go to bed.
Now, I found an app on Facebook that connects my Twitter to my Facebook account. It makes my life so much easier because I don't really actually have to go to Twitter. Whatever I post on Facebook goes directly there.
I'm going to have to look into that because that would be the only way that my Twitter will start to become more active.
And I don't know if you can do it on your blog site, but you should look into it, see if you can connect your Twitter account to that as well.
That is definitely something I'll look into because, yeah, my Twitter is probably the one thing I pay the least attention to.
Yeah, I had that problem too. That's how come I was so happy when I found that app. I was like, yes, I will not ignore you anymore. And now I got to try and remember how I connected it to my Gamers Geek radio page because now I have the gamersgeek.tv page, which is another version of my show. So I have to learn how to remember how to feed it together. Yeah. At least I warned you. I get tongue-tied, right?
Yeah, it happens. I have a very bad tendency to stutter or kind of just go, yeah.
But sadly, I get so tongue-tied, and it's not because I'm not trying to think or I don't have stuff planned. It's just, my tongue hates me. And then my brain says, ha, I'm going to just crash on you. It's like my brain is this great big computer thing, and it just says, bye, crash.
System reboot. Blue screen. Uh-oh.
Right?
Oh, gosh, I wonder how many will actually remember the blue screen of death.
When you make those hand warmers, do you sell them anywhere? And if so, where can I buy one?
I sell them. I do sell them on Etsy. Etsy has pretty much majority of my inventory, which is the starspikes.etsy.com. I also sell them at the conventions I usually attend, like the one in Shreveport, the Louisiana Comic Con that I'll be attending. I will have a bit of my inventory there. Usually the hand warmers are one of my bigger hits, so I always try to have a few of those. But I also bring some things that I just experimented with and want to see how people react to it, to usually the conventions first, to see how people like it, and then I'm like, okay, people like it, so I'll make more of it and put it on Etsy. So that's usually how it happens, is I'll make it, bring it to the convention, people like it, it'll end up on Etsy.
Well, that's good.
Mhm.
Good way to know if it'll sell, right?
Oh yeah, like it also helps me in like getting more ideas. I have people coming up all the time like, oh, you know what? I would love to have some X-Men themed hand warmers or Spider-Man, or if you make a beanie that has all of the Hogwarts houses, which now I started making. I brought them to Wizard World, and they all went, and now I have to make more before I can put them on Etsy.
Well, that's a really good thing, and I know it makes you feel good that people are like, "Oh my God, I gotta have this now, now." Oh, yes, now.
I love that. Like, it always makes me smile when I see people, like, even walking around the convention with something that they've purchased from me. There was one lady that actually came by. She got these Iron Man hand warmers that that I'm very, like, most popular for. Oh, and now I have a cat. Hi, cat. This is Callie. She's my lap cat. But she came by and she's like, I've had these pair of hand warmers for 2 years. And they are still the same that I've had them. Like, I wear them every day, and they haven't frayed, they haven't broken. I take them everywhere, and it makes me feel so good. They're like, I've had this for 2 years, I still wear it, and it's the best thing ever.
That is so cool. Now, how old were you when you started crocheting?
Oh goodness. Well, my mom taught me how to knit when I was really little. And then I stopped for the longest time because I'm like, you know what? Only old people do crocheting and knitting. And I started back up again, I think in 2005, or even before that. I was so bored. I was like, you know what? Let's just learn crochet. And I had to reteach myself everything. I went to YouTube and I watched a few videos on how to make the chain, how to use the crochet hook again, how to do the knitting, and then it just like, all right, you know what? This is actually quite fun. And before I knew it, a bunch of us were starting to crochet next to each other, and here we are, like a bunch of 20-year-olds just crocheting, and everyone's like, doesn't that make you feel old? I'm like, nope. I just enjoy doing this. This is actually quite therapeutic, and I now can crochet without even looking. So I watch TV or we'll put on a movie or anything like that. People just find it amusing that here I am just crocheting. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, my mom tried to teach me, and I gave it up. I lost count. I can make like a scarf for the kitty cat and have it look cute. But that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you used to write?
Yes, I did used to do a lot of, well, mostly fan fiction. I haven't done it in a while. I want to get back into it once I have a bit more time. But I used to do a lot of fan fiction.
Is there like any particular story that you liked the most that you wrote?
Oh goodness. Most of the fan fiction I did was, of course, Mass Effect related, because that seems to be the one thing that I'm probably the most obsessed with is Mass Effect. So I have a few stories that I did with like the Mass Effect characters, even created my own characters in the Mass Effect universe that I wrote a story for. They're on my DeviantArt, and they're old, but they're still like, people still like to read them. Of course, most of them will be with Garrus, because he's probably my favorite. Well, no, not probably. He is my favorite from Mass Effect. There's another one with James Vega, and I even wrote one with Nihilus, even though he gets shot in the very first part of Mass Effect, but I made pretty much the story that went before then. And even with one with Samantha Trainer. So just a bunch of different stories with a bunch of different characters from Mass Effect, and I want to go back and revisit all of them and even finish off some of them that I never had a chance to finish. It's something I really enjoy to do. I've always loved writing. Ever since I was little, I would have like just big old notebooks filled with things I was writing about, from like fan fiction to original stories, and I always have them brewing in my head, so eventually I'll make what's in my head come back onto paper.
Now, have you had any of them published?
No, not like these. Mostly are for fun because it's fan fiction. It's taking other universes and just making them have a different turn on it. Eventually, there is one idea in my head that has been brewing there for a little bit, and it's an original story with like a completely original universe, everything. And it's one that if I have the time, I'll eventually write it and get that published, because it's completely new, something that I haven't seen or read before. So it's something I definitely would like to do one day.
Let us know when you do it, and we'll have you back on to talk about it.
That sounds good.
And we also would like you to come back on at another time when it's convenient for you, because I really enjoyed having you on the show.
Oh, it's been a lot of fun.
Now, when you go to the different conventions that are outside of your state, is it because you have been asked to come to there, or do you pay out of your own pocket to go there? Because I know that could be very expensive.
It is. Pretty much every single convention I've been to has been out of my own pocket. I've never had a convention where, oh, you know what, you're completely paid, you're a guest, etc. All of them have been out of my own pocket, as it's kind of how I see the hobby should be, or is you put a lot of time into your costumes and you want to show it off. So you take the time and the money to go to the conventions to do so, and it's all out of my own pocket. That's why I do the Artist Alley with my little artists and crafts, is to make back some of the money that I'm putting into going to the convention.
So what are our chances of getting you to come out to Animacement here in Raleigh, North Carolina?
It's on my list. I'll eventually head that way. Like, the big determining factor for me is based on how far it is from where I live, if I have a table there, and if I have other friends going, or friends that I can stay with there. Otherwise, that's like more expenses for a hotel and all that. So usually I take those little things into effect, where most of the ones I do right now is the ones in Louisiana, because, of course, Louisiana's a small state, so I can go everywhere here. I do some in Memphis, and a lot in Dallas, Houston, Mobile. Atlanta is actually a straight shot for me. And we do Chicago, because that's where my boyfriend's family is, and so we just go and stay with them, and we've got a lot of friends there. So we stay there and hang out with them. So mostly it's just based off of those little things, like, okay, we have friends going to this one, we'll go there, we can stay with them, we can hang out there for a bit. It's not just going for the costuming or making money, we're able to have fun with our friends too, because it's important to have fun with friends.
Oh, that is so true. If you ever make it up here, you could go in house with my son and with his booth and sell your products there.
We will definitely look into it. It's on my list of ones that I want to go to, because it's definitely one of the bigger ones on the East Coast.
It is. Like when we started 13 years back, I think they hit like 2,500 maybe. And now last year I think they hit 25,000.
Jeez.
If I'm not mistaken. And I had panic attacks, and I was like, oh my God. I came here to interview, And yeah, well, that's a lot of people. Thank God my daughter was with me.
Yeah, I always love it. I don't have any problem with crowds or anything like that. Right now we live in the middle of nowhere, so we live on currently 10 acres, like way up North Louisiana. So anytime I go to conventions, like, okay, this is the social interaction I'm going to have for the next 2 weeks, so I will absorb it all because I'm going to go back and there'll be nobody. Hello again.
I'm so sorry. I was like so ready to throw my phone, and if I didn't love this phone so very much and I could afford a new one, I was like sitting here going, ah! Okay, so can somebody catch me up? I don't want to ask questions that have already been asked.
Let's see, we've talked about the RC Mako, we are talking about conventions, what determines what conventions I go to, fan fiction, and lots of fan fiction, and it's fun with writing and words and stuff.
No, I agree. I love to write. I'm a writer, and I call all writers are artists. You just paint words with words rather than paint.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of the RC Mako, that is so amazing. I just have to say that. Like, that is so awesome. I mean, I love Mass Effect, but the fact that you did that is so cool. I mean, do people come up and recognize you and ask you about it?
There is a few people that have, and even people that if I go somewhere, they'll ask if I brought the RC Mako or Bruce. Every now and then I'll actually, if I have room in the car, I'll bring him, just let him sit on the table, because people just are like, oh, there's the RC Mako, can you drive it around? And or here, go shoot my boyfriend for me, or go to shoot chase the kids. I'm like, okay, I don't mind. Here's the control. Give me 1 sec.
That is so cool. It really is. Like, when I saw that, I kind of was a little fangirl about it.
And everybody thinks, oh, it's got to be really small, but he's a big boy. He's 19 inches long, so it's one that you can actually see driving around like it's a small dog. So.
Yeah, because in the pictures when you see them, you can't really see the scale, the size,
Mm-hmm.
Unless next to something that's round, like what the size of it is.
Yeah.
I mean, how long did it take you to make that? Like, what made you want to do that? Like, obviously you love that, and you wanted to see, everybody wanted to see.
Yeah, it was, like we explained it a little earlier, that it was on the Xbox avatar, that they have the little remote control Mako that your avatar can have. So I took that idea, I'm like, okay, well, let's make it a real thing. So just something that happened, and I just completely I think it took about 6 months, and most of it was a lot of failure. I think there was 3 bodies before the final design. Like, I tried it in so many different mediums. I tried to do one completely out of upholstery foam, just to try it, and that one completely failed. Then there was, gosh, I took a big block of styrofoam and tried carving that, and that didn't work. So finally I did craft foam, and just kind of did it like as if it was a paper craft or Pepakura style, and just worked off of that to building his shape and all that.
No, we have 2 comments in that I'm going to read for you.
Okay.
The Unsinkable Duck says that they adore your Mass Effect stuff. And forgive me if I say your name wrong, but our trade says Code 79. If you had to pick one season of Doctor Who, which would it be?
Ooh, that's a tough
Oh,
one.
yeah. Good luck.
Oh, okay. Ooh, that's a very tough question. Okay. Because right now I'm really enjoying the season with Capaldi, the latest season. It's
Right?
I loved War Eyebrows. I love Capaldi is just amazing as a doctor. Uh, favorite season though. Ooh. I'm trying to think which one do I watch the most from. I'm probably gonna have to say the season with Tennant and Donna Noble.
Love
I absolutely love the chemistry between the Doctor and Donna, the Doctor Donna. That's probably gonna have to be my favorite because there's so many times that I've seen the episode with the adipose, mostly just for the lip syncing scene where they're like, just that scene. It's probably my favorite. If I had to pick for the older ones, though, that's gonna take forever. Because I have to think.
There's so many good doctors and so many good episodes.
There are.
And so like a lot of people like choose Rose and Tennant, you know, Rose and Tenth Doctor, and you know, I love them, I do, but I think you're right. Like I love the chemistry between 11 and Donna Noble because she's hilarious. She's hilarious, but she's got such a big heart.
She does.
She has such a big heart.
There's so many episodes with her, like, even, like, the original episode that she was in, like, I'm in my wedding gown!
Yep. Did you know she was brought back, not, like, they decided to make her a companion, because remember the episode she popped up in, with her wedding dress, and they weren't going to make her a companion. They actually, she became a fan favorite really fast.
Oh, yeah,
and people wanted her on. They were like, we want to see her as a companion. Some people, because they were already a fan of the actress, because she's a big, actress over there. She does a lot of, she does a show. I cannot remember the name of it, so forgive me, but it's kind of like
the Catherine Tate show, I think it is.
Yeah, I think you're right. So people were already a fan of her, but people that weren't a fan of her, they didn't really know who she was before. They saw her in that episode, and they were like, we want to see her come back. We want to see her be a companion. And then they made her one, and like quickly. It all happened rather quickly. And I'm so happy they did because I love her. And the Adipose episode is definitely one of my favorites. And I can't remember the name of it, where she had the beetle on the back of her, and she was.
Oh yeah, like it shows how much of a like how important she is.
Exactly. I loved that episode for so many different reasons, but that episode really showed her heart.
Mhm.
And really showed her heart and really showed how well she fits in, like, in that whole scene. But she definitely, the episode made me upset, and it made me happy, even it made me cry, and the scene with her grandfather.
Yeah.
So many feels.
Like, even the last episode with her, it just, when she became part of the Time Lords, it's like, oh gosh, I feel, because she would make a perfect Time Lord. Oh.
She would. Also, the episode where they travel and
Agatha Christie, yes.
I was like trying to say it backwards. My brain's being dyslexic. I love that episode too, just because she was all wanting to be in the murder mystery, and it was not at all what she thought it was going to be, but she still went for it, and it was awesome.
Oh yeah, like
I have a favorite episode with her.
The other one is when they actually brought back Martha Jones, and it was the doctor's daughter.
Yeah. I don't know. There's just so many episodes like we're talking about. Like I could go on and on.
Yep. And
on.
as soon as I start talking about it, I want to go and watch all of the episodes again.
I know. I actually got introduced to it, and I started watching it from, of course, the modern.
Mm-hmm.
And I went back and watched all of them because Netflix did have. I don't know if they still do. They have all the older episodes, and I was so glad that I did. I was so glad that I did because somebody else was like, "Oh, don't even bother watching it." I'm like, "Oh no, I think I will."
You're missing out if you don't watch the older ones.
Right?
Like, especially with the 50th anniversary, like, when you watch it, you can see all the different influences from the older Doctors, all the older generations, and...
Yeah, and they also, they do homages and tributes to older Doctors and older episodes. And now, like, when I went back through and watched all the older ones and then, the more modern ones, I saw the different, connections and the different little, like, tributes to episodes past and it kind of some of the episodes go back to its roots a little bit if you know what to look for.
Mm-hmm.
I love the episode where, I can't remember the actor's name, but he actually plays the governor in Walking Dead, and he thought he was the Doctor, he thought he was a Time Lord.
Oh,
and
yes.
He had the screwdriver, when David Tennant pulled out the sonic screwdriver, he's like, oh, and he had it, and he's like, you see? And he tapped it, Sonic, here's a screwdriver. I laughed so hard.
Yeah, I love all of those episodes. I definitely think Tennant is going to be my favorite of the newer Doctors.
Yes,
nothing can beat that hair.
Nothing. And the most, he's adorable all the time. Just, he makes you happy. He's like one of the happier ones,
He is.
He's happy, but he's also, when you see him angry, he cares so much about all of his companions, and you can always see in his face when he's torn between, picking someone new up and with the whole Rose thing. That's just that episode where her final episode, I cried so hard. I was like, no, this cannot happen.
Yeah, I could go...
Be together.
I could always use a few more seasons of David Tennant.
Right? That's why the 50th anniversary special was so amazing.
Yes.
I loved it so much.
The ending is what got me, especially on that one, because of when I heard the voice, and I know who that voice was, I was like, I know that voice. I know that nose. I know that face.
Yep.
I was like, I get, even nowadays, still a little teary-eyed from it, because I'm like, I remember him as the Doctor, and he's here, and he's with the other Doctors. It's just, boom.
Exactly. It is. So many of those episodes still give me some of those feelings that I frequently have when I watched it. That's what's so amazing about it, is it just captivates you. It's so rich. I love all the storylines, and I love that they take different writers and give them episodes to write. Like when Peter Jackson did one.
I love, even though they have a lot of writers, I still love Russell T. Davis in his episode.
Yeah, no one can beat him. Doctor Who. And when people talk about the Doctor or post pictures and they abbreviate, put DR, no. What are you thinking? You can't do that.
You have to say the Doctor.
It's the Doctor. It's not Doctor, abbreviated. And I'll comment or I'll say something like, you can't, nope. I no longer like your post.
Or when people think, is plural of TARDIS TARDISes or TARDI? I'm like, it's going to be TARDISes because of the fact that it's time and relatively in dimensions in space. It's a whole thing.
It's all amazing, though. So we could talk about Doctor Who, obviously, for all night.
Very easily.
Fan fiction. So with fan fiction, what do you write? What's your main focus?
Most of it's going to be Mass Effect. I have written a few Dragon Age and even played a little bit with the Star Wars Old Republic. But most of it is Mass Effect. It's like I live, sleep, breathe, eat anything to do with Mass Effect. Even we'll say tequila salai when I have a margarita.
It really shows in your costumes. Like, it really shows how much you put into it and how much you love it. Because I think that if you love something and you're really passionate about it, it shows.
Oh yeah.
It makes it better. You can really, especially because you want to do it justice.
Oh,
you know.
yeah. Because you can love many fandoms, but like you can always tell when there's something that you like a little bit more because you put just a little bit extra time into it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I agree. So, besides Mass Effect, like, what's your other go-to besides? I know you said you've written some Dragon Age stuff, but if you could no longer play Mass Effect or do anything Mass Effect, what would you do?
Well, for lately it'd be World of Warcraft. I've been playing a lot of that. Or like I always go back and reread or rewatch and all of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and anything Douglas Adams. Firefly is one I could always go and watch, and just even though I've seen the one and only season, sad tear, multiple times, I can never get tired of it.
No, that's why they need to bring it back. I don't understand why. They have such a big fan base. I don't understand why.
It'll happen eventually.
It has to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what are you working on currently?
Right now, the next one that's going to be working on is going to be World of Warcraft. It's called the Holy Warrior Paladin armor. It's the challenge armor that was from the Pandaria expansion. That's one that I saw and I fell in love with, and that was before I even played the game. And I'm like, okay, I like how this armor looks. And now that I'm playing the game, I'm like, okay, now I have to make this armor set and this one, because I like this one from Firelands and this one that's Onyxia's armor, and yeah, now I have almost a closet full idea of armors. I'm like, I could just go and mix and match like it's a regular wardrobe, but armor.
I would love to see that, actually. I would love to see your closet, because I bet it's just full of amazing things.
Oh, God. I get to organize all of it recently. It's like it's going to be chaos.
Right? So do you have a list? Like, how many cons do you usually hit a year?
For the last 2 or 3 years, I usually do 15 a year.
Okay, so do you like to switch it up and do different costumes? Like, some people do, some people don't. Switch up and do different cosplays and different characters. Like, do you usually do, let's say it's a 3-day event. Do you do the same when you go to all 3 days, or do you like to do one a day that's different?
It depends. I like to do usually like one a day, or if it's like for Wizard World, I only brought 2 costumes with me, which was the Solarian and Marvin. I wore the Solarian on Friday, and then I wore Marvin on Saturday and Sunday. So, like, it just depends on how I feel. For Dragon Con, I usually bring a lot of costumes, and I'll change out to having maybe 2 a day, just keep going back and forth. And it also depends if my friends are wearing anything. Because, like, for C2E2, I know I'm going to bring, like, the Solarian, I'm going to bring Marvin, but I'm also going to bring Drusilla. So I'll bring Drusilla to go out with my friends when they do the Buffy group, and then we'll go back and change. And so I like to bring usually at least 2, just so I can change out if I want to. But sometimes I'm okay with just bringing 1 and wearing it all 3 days. It's just, I guess it depends what I feel like.
Yeah, that's so fun. My goodness. What's your favorite con? Like, you're absolutely so excited for it all year. You're like, I can't wait for this one.
That will be Dragon Con.
That's what I was thinking because, like, the way you talk about it, it really shows in your voice. Like, you really.
Yeah.
I've. Go ahead.
I've been to so many cons, and Dragon Con's actually one of the more recent ones that I've started going to. The first time I went was in 2000, I think 2012. I think. Yes, 2012 was the first time, and I only went for one day, and I was only supposed to be there for like the morning, and then I was probably going to leave that night. But I ended up staying the entire day, and I didn't want to leave at all.
Oh.
And so the next year, I'm like, okay, I'm going for all days. I don't care how much it's going to cost me. I am going. So now my boyfriend and I, we make sure that Dragon Con's always #1 on the list. It's always going to be the one we go to. And I'm also, like, when it comes to Dragon Con, I am in charge of all of the Mass Effect related things there, like the photo shoot, our marching in the parade. We actually have a big group of Mass Effect cosplayers that get together, and we've marched in the parade since 2012. I've took over it like officially last year. So now we'll be back next year with almost 100 people in Mass Effect costumes marching. And then we have our gigantic Mass Effect photo shoot where we have Mark Meer, the voice of Commander Shepard, and usually Rana Mechaneer, who is the face model for Samara and Morinth. She actually will, they both come to the photo shoots and they'll march with us. So it's just a lot of fun that here we are, a bunch of Mass Effect cosplayers hanging out with the face model and the voice actor, and we just go and have a lot of fun photo shoots. Oh gosh, like last year we had the Jack and Miranda photo shoot with Mark Meer in the middle, like holding them both off. It was so much fun.
It sounds so fun. And speaking of cost, how much does an average, let's include like your materials, the time, and how much it costs for the con itself? That doesn't include like buying swag. Just to go in. So what's your cost?
It depends on which one. San Diego Comic-Con is the most expensive of them all.
And the hardest to get tickets for.
It is. It is. Like, the hotels for them are ridiculously overpriced. It's a lot of fun, but like it's gotten so much more franchise-driven that it's like takes away from a lot of the fun that you would usually have. So yeah, it's great if you want to go buy stuff. Which, oh my goodness, I go nuts on their exclusives.
Oh, I'm sure.
Every year, I don't care how long of the line, I'm gonna get that exclusive.
Right.
But like Dragon Con, you can actually attend Dragon Con fairly cheap if you have like a bunch of people in the room, or you take like one of the rooms that is not the host hotel. I think not last year, but the year before, I managed to do all of Dragon Con for I think $500. But for like most other ones, like I'm trying to think of another one like Wizard World. That one usually, like, I look around $300 to $400. Most of it's going into hotels and the badge. Like, those are the two things that you're going to spend the most on. Everything else, like, I have a tendency to bring a lot of snacks with me and a lot of things to drink. So, except if it's in New Orleans, I have a very bad tendency because that's like my neck of the woods that I always go, and I'm like, you know what? I haven't been to my favorite restaurant in a while. I'm going to go back there. And whoops, there goes $30.
Okay, so pick your biggest cosplay, the one that you'd spent the most time on, and about how much do you think it cost you, and how much time did it take you to make it?
I think the most expensive one, the biggest one, I'm thinking, is going to have to be Marvin. And I think he cost me about $200 total of supplies. Like, a lot of my costumes, I have a really good tendency to keep under or around $100. Because it's most of it's going to be craft foam or EVA foam.
Yeah.
I
And you want to be
use,
able to build more.
oh yeah. Like a lot of times I also reuse a lot of old pieces, like I recycle pieces into the next one. Like most of them, yeah, they're like about $100. Like the most expensive is the paint. So like the Plasti Dip is almost like $7 a can, and I just go right through all that.
Well, what kind of paint? I've never made cosplay. I've always wanted to, but honestly, we don't have very much around here. We have SenchiCon, and that's actually going to be my first con. I've never been to one.
Oh.
Because so SenchiCon's going to be my favorite, or my favorite. Be my first bit. So I'm thinking I might do something. So for me, just starting out, what do you suggest for anybody who's just starting out?
Oh gosh. Well, for someone just starting out, there are so many tutorials online. It all depends on if you want to do an armor piece or if you want to do like a uniform or if you want to take bits and pieces. A lot of times, like my favorite medium is always going to be craft foam or EVA foam because it's cheap, and so if you mess up, you can always just get more. There's so many ways to do it. I always suggest that like how I like to do it is I get like a tracing paper and I draw out what I want to do and then just transfer it, which that can go for both cloth and foam. For foam, you have to take into consideration if it's like a fourth or half an inch. So therefore, when it curves, you're going to have to add that little extra. When it comes to sewing, I always like to leave at least like an extra inch around because you're going to be sewing and trimming and all that.
Yeah.
Usually with me a lot more because sewing is actually my worst trait. I hate sewing. I'm horrible at sewing. I've broken 3 sewing machines in 1 year, so I try to stay away from sewing. Like when I did the Assassin's Creed hooded jacket, I had to hand stitch the whole entire liner and the hood, and after that I'm like, no more. I don't care. I will find someone to do this for me. No more.
So many cosplayers think that you're not really a true cosplayer if you have somebody make your costume or you buy it. You know, where's your stance on that? Do you feel like as long as you're having fun, it really doesn't matter if you bought it or made it?
Pretty much.
Purist?
I have a group that I do on the side called Cos Positivity. It's cosplay and positivity together. And pretty much the way that I feel and how a lot of other cosplayers feel is it doesn't matter if it's purchased, even if it's a Halloween costume purchase or mass-produced from China, or if you had somebody commissioned to do it. My first official how I feel cosplay was commissioned. I commissioned one of my friends, Eccentric Tortoise, to do the Commander Shepard Cerberus jacket for me. I've never sewn anything before, and I'm like, you know what? She does amazing work. I love her stuff. I'll ask her if she wants to do it. And she did, and it was amazing, and people loved it. And it made me feel great. And it's because of what she did for me that made me feel awesome, that it doesn't matter if someone else made it and you're wearing it. If you have fun and you feel great in it, then it doesn't matter. It's like I have so many friends that they get somebody else to make them their armor, or they get pieces made from somebody else, like especially when it comes to helmets, because helmets are so difficult. Oh my gosh. I literally want to take so many helmets and just throw them across the wall because I hated how it took. Like, it's just every time. So I don't see why there's such a big problem with people buying or commissioning others to make their costume, because as long as it's a costume and they're having fun and they're showing off their fandom, it's all that matters. Because cosplay should be fun for anybody. It doesn't matter if you're the wrong color, the wrong gender, the wrong height, or anything like that. Like, it's a lot of fun.
I agree with you. What would you like to see change? I know that there's I know that there's a lot of issues with being a female gamer and a female cosplayer. A lot of costumes tend to be sexy, or and there's a lot of sexual harassment because people see you there and they see you dressed up and they just think they should just approach you and touch you or ask you questions or hit on you or say something. What would you like to see change?
Oh gosh, when it comes to that, it's probably more about like the education and etiquette when it comes to cosplayers. Like, the way I see it is you just have to be a decent human being. Think of it like they're not somebody who is paid to be a model. They're not somebody, there for you to, harass or anything like that. This is somebody out there going out, sometimes even out of their own comfort zone, to show off something that they are passionate about. And a lot of times, like, some people will get harassed because of, oh, your costume's too sexy, or you're too overweight to be in this costume, or, oh, you're doing it wrong, I don't like how it looks, or you don't have a high enough skill level. There's so many different ways that people are getting harassed or bullied from it, and I hate it. It's just like, it shouldn't even be a thing, yet it is a thing. And it feels like high school all over again.
Yeah. So what would you like to see, what kind of rules would you like to see set in place at cons? Not just general etiquette, but like, what would you like to see them enforce and do, like, or you're going to get, or, like a zero tolerance policy. Like, if we see you doing that or somebody reports you, you're out, and you don't get refunded. But what kind of rules would you like to see set in place?
Well, I did see, I haven't been there, but I saw at New York Comic Con, they had a big, gigantic sign for everybody to look at before they walk in on, if you see a cosplayer, ask for their photograph. Don't just take a photograph of them. Don't, improperly touch them. Because they had a whole list of things that, people would see as they walk in through the doors. And I want to see that at more conventions, especially saying, okay, you know what, please don't be rude to other people. Just be a nice, decent human being.
I think they're really hard, and they're really, you never want to work really hard on something and then have somebody go, oh, well, that's terrible, or you shouldn't be wearing that, or blah, blah, whatever reason.
Like,
I agree.
It's also, like, I've had, like, even problems between cosplayers and cosplayers. Like, you love each other's costumes. Like, the only time I've ever really had an issue was I was wearing my Commander Shepard uniform, and there was a zombie cosplayer who thought it would be funny, to come and, like, touch me and all that. It's like, you're getting your fake blood on my very nice jacket that my friend put a lot of hard time into, and it's a lot of hard work to get the fake blood out of this jacket that I want to keep pristine because she worked so hard on it. So it's not just, people new to it, but it's also other cosplayers, just realize that sometimes, you might want to see it, and if you're going to touch it, at least ask first. Like, I have a lot of people that are like, oh, can I feel your armor? I want to see if, how it feels. It's like, yeah, sure, here, touch right here. It's like, this is foam. You can touch this part. Or can I give you a hug? And if they say no, then just respect it, because maybe sometimes they're trying to protect their costume that their friend worked hard on. So there's just so many different reasons why there needs to be, like, okay, ask if you want to touch, like give a hug, or, touch their armor or their clothing. Ask for their photo, because maybe, they're tired and they want to go back to their room. Of course, at the same time, be respectful if they decline, because not every time they're going to say yes.
I agree. I feel, like I said, I've never been to any cons before, but I know people who have, and I have friends who have, and they say one of the biggest problems for women especially, but it does happen to men, is people catcalling or shaming, fat shaming, whether you are or not, whether they feel like, oh, well, you're not super skinny, because I'm so tired of people associating weight with beauty.
Yeah.
you know? And then being exposed like that, who cares if you chose a super sexy cosplay to follow, you know? Who cares? You want to. That's your passion. That's what you want to do. And it doesn't matter if you're skinny or a little bigger or really big. I feel that, especially as women should stick together. They should lift each other up. That's what we should do. Lift each other up. And I would like to see more of that in the whole world, but especially in the geek world.
Mm-hmm.
We should be like, it's hard enough for us. Why would you make me feel bad? You know, we should go, hey, that's amazing. And turn around and be like, don't do that. Okay, could you have done a better job? I think she did something amazing, and here you are not in a costume, which is fine, but you want to point out somebody else who made something or had it made and is wearing it, having the courage to do that, and you're going to say something about that. And that's, you know, geek shaming, fat shaming, all of that just needs to stop. It really does. And more people like you, you know, use your voice, and I'm sure you do.
Oh, yeah. I always make sure that when I go out to a convention, I'm always nice to every single person at my table. It doesn't matter if you're a cosplayer or not. Like, if I see somebody who's, like, brand new into cosplaying, I always go up and say, you know what, I love your costume, even if I don't know what it is. I've even had a few people that I'm like, I don't know what your costume is, but I love it. I want to compliment it on it because you did a good job, or whoever made it for you did a good job, or you look great in it. Even just that little bit, like, I know how it felt when I started, and I loved anytime someone, like, recognized me or even just appreciated that I costumed. So I try to return that favor, and, like, it doesn't matter. I've seen some great, like, cosplayers, the ones that gender bent. I've seen some great people, like, do full-out armor. I've seen some great people start out. I've seen people who even just started with, like, cardboard Wolverine claws. But, like, it's like, you guys are awesome because you're taking Wolverine and you're making it yourself, and that's awesome that you're even doing that. Like,
you should.
Like, I always appreciate any kind of person who goes out there, because one, we're all geeks. Two, we're at a convention all together. We paid money to be here. Let's just celebrate. Let's be Greeks.
I so agree with that. I feel like, you know, you used to not be cool. You to be a geek, to like video games, to like comic books, to like a certain fandom or a certain movie or franchise. And now geeks are bigger than ever. It's more socially acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
People more like it. So why can't we use our voice? Like, we have a bigger voice now. Why can't we just use it, you know, to say, hey, we are here, we're proud, and we will not tolerate any negativity.
Yeah.
If you're going to be negative, then go join another group, because we don't have to be here. We don't have to let you take our picture, and we don't have to do any of that. But we are, because we love what we're doing, and we have the courage to do this and to wear it.
Like,
so
it's so amazing just to see, like, how much it's progressed over the years. I remember when I was a little girl and I was growing up that, like, in even my elementary school, I was picked on because I loved going into town every Saturday and buying the latest Ren and Stimpy or Looney Tune comic.
Yeah, Ren and Stimpy comics. Oh my goodness, my daddy used to buy those for me.
See, and like, people thought I was so weird because I loved having comics. Like, I would watch the cartoons, but I like having the comics too, and like Ghost Rider and like all of these old comics. Like, I had stacks of them, and I'd still do. They're over there. Like, I would geek out every Saturday because I would go and I would get like a stack of comic books of all my favorite ones. Like, I even remember when Men in Black had their comic book, or The Mask had their comic book. Like, all the other girls were buying Tiger Bop or all those things.
I think it was Tiger Beat.
Tiger Beat and Bop, that was it.
Yeah, my sister read those because one of her favorite bands was Hanson. Like, and she like while she was listening to NSYNC and Hanson and what's the other one?
Backstreet Boys?
Backstreet Boys, yeah. I was listening like she'd watch those come on MTV back when MTV had tons of music videos. And they played Marilyn Manson music videos, zombie videos. Like that was me. Like that was the girl watching and listening to Manson and Rob Zombie and White Zombie. Like that was me. Like rocking out with my cassette player.
Oh gosh, my very first cassette was Alice in Chains. So, like, I was weird. I listened to Weird Al, Alice in Chains, and the Spice Girls. So I had like everything.
Oh yeah, I still am that way. I have an like if you look at my playlist, I have such an eclectic sense of taste. I'll be listening to Cradle of Filth one minute, and the next song will be like On My Own from Les Mis, you know? And then after that, it'll be some, like, maybe it's Taylor Swift.
Yep.
Or, music, I love music. And
Oh yeah.
music makes you feel better no matter what you're in,
gosh,
mood
like,
you're in.
Whenever I do like start working on costumes, I'll actually put I have a build list of like an MP3 music list of what I listen to when I'm building, and it usually does depend on what I'm building. Like if I do Mass Effect, I'll throw in a lot of the Mass Effect soundtrack or Mass Effect themed songs, or Space the Age kind of electronic songs. Oh gosh, when I was working on Marvin, I feel so bad for my poor boyfriend, as I played Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy nonstop and Reasons to Be Miserable, Marvin is his name song nonstop, that every time I'll go around and start singing or humming so long and thanks for all the fish, he'll be like, no more, not again.
That's so funny. I love Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I love the book, too.
Oh,
I never
gosh.
read the book. I watched the movie, and then I found the book for like 15 cents or 10 cents at a secondhand store, and I was like, heck yeah! And I read it. I loved it. I could not. I think I've read it 10 times already. I love books anyway. Love to read.
All right, come on, lap kitty. This is Callie. She's the lap cat. So the lap cat that gets just
Pay attention.
yeah. But yeah, I've read Hitchhikers so many times, and I love the movie. Even when I was working on Marvin, I was talking like Alan Rickman just because I felt like it was appropriate.
It helps get you in the character. And
Oh, yeah.
Alan Rickman is awesome. I love Alan Rickman, and in every role I've ever seen him in. He can do chick flicks. Like he was in Love Actually.
Yes.
I love that movie.
I love him in Galaxy Quest.
Yes, he's amazing.
My Grandpa's Hammer, what a savings.
I love the look on his face. Oh, he's like, this is ridiculous.
I am a Shakespearean actor. I have done King Lear. It's like, oh god, here he goes again.
Right? I'd love to meet him in real life. I think he'd be a really fun guy.
Oh, I would too.
Fans, you always hope that your favorite actors and actresses, voice or not, is gonna love their fans, because especially in the sci-fi or fantasy world there's a lot of fanboy type fans and fangirl like squealers. It really doesn't matter what kind of fan you are, but you would hope that when you meet your favorite actor or actress, they are going to be friendly and want to take pictures and give you autographs and like be cool.
Yeah.
You never want to be somebody who's a total jerk, because that completely ruins it.
Yeah, that's also like part of the fun experience with conventions is you don't know like which celebrity you're gonna meet, and like I have a few that always come up to mind. Like one of my favorites was John Delancey. Like I always will remember him as Q, but he's also in My Little Pony. And I remember when I first met him, I actually had a Rainbow Dash shirt on, and it wasn't even showing all the way, but he like was like, oh, Rainbow Dash, I'm making a pony documentary called the Brony Documentary. You should check it out. I'm like, okay, this is awesome. John Delancey and I are clicking about My Little Pony.
Of all things.
Yeah, like and that's actually going to be one of my next builds, is because of how many people liked my Mecha Dash. I'm going to be taking the Transformer thing, or actually more of a general mechanized robotic thing, and turning that into Discord. So like every single piece is going to be some sort of different influenced type of either like an anime influence or Iron Man influence or video game reference type mech into one gigantic crazy costume.
Yeah, I think that's cool. So we are going to do some shout-outs soon. If you have anybody that you'd like to give a shout-out to, you know, whether it's somebody that's watching, you know, or, you know, anybody in specific,
Oh,
I'll give you
I always have one.
Just give me 1 second here. I was going to ask you, what celebrities, like, have you met at cons, and who's your favorite?
Oh gosh. Let's see. I think one of the most memorable ones, because it was actually a moment I was so starstruck that I almost mispronounced his name, was Adam West.
Oh my goodness, that is
And I almost said Adam Wee because of Family Guy. He was at his, like, at a booth, and I'm like, is that Adam West? That is Adam West. Oh my gosh. And I was like, can I have your autograph, Adam Wee? West, yes. I completely spaced it for a minute, and like he signed the pamphlet that I had, and I walked away like just staring at it. I'm like, I should have gotten his photo. Too late. I got this. I don't care. Oh god. Like one of my favorite people I love to hang out with is Mark Meir, the voice of Commander Shepard, because he is a gigantic geek nerd. Like, he is the coolest guy you could ever hang out with, talk to, and he comes to Dragon Con. He's been going every year, and we just, like, will hang out after, like, the Mass Effect photo shoot and just start talking, and he's just a great guy to hang out with. Doug Jones, who has done Abe Sapien from Hellboy. He's another really amazing guy. Like, I remember one of my best friends and I, we heard that he was just sitting outside, just talking to people, and we just, like, went out there, just sat down with him, started talking, and he was just drawing, like, a little guppy on a little notepad. And, like, he's just a nice guy to talk to. Gosh, who else? Like, probably another one was John Crispolucci, the creator of Ren and Stimpy. Like, it was funny because he had his autograph session the same time as Jamie and Adam from Mythbusters. Yet Jamie and Adam had a gigantic line, and John K. had us, just me. It's like, okay. So
that's cool for you, but why wouldn't he have more people?
That's what we were talking about, but I guess it played to my favor, because then I got to sit there longer and just talk to him.
That's so awesome.
Like, I will always remember, like, I told him, hey, you know what, I grew up watching your cartoons. You are my childhood. And he drew me a George Licker that I have somewhere, and eventually I'll have it framed. Like, it was starstruck for me. Like, it's so funny that I get so crazy over, like, authors or cartoonists, or, like, there's so many different people that you go to a convention for. Like, I even have Chuck Palahniuk, the writer of Lullaby and Fight Club. Like, he was another person that was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm meeting you. Like, there's just that moment when you meet them and they actually turn out to be cool people. Oh god, another one is, I actually had Michael Roker has one of his agents go around through Artist Alley to see if there's anything that he wants. And I had a Captain America Dreamcatcher that his agent came up, it's like, that right there, I need that. And I'm like, oh, okay, sure. So she buys it, and she's like, just so you know, I'm Michael Roker's agent, and this is for him because he's a big fan of Captain America. I'm like, okay, excuse me, I'm gonna go fangirl over here for a minute.
Right?
Like, and it turns out, like, he is such an amazing guy, like such a great geek. Like he takes a moment to hang out with everybody, and he'll actually go and walk around the convention floor and completely geek out. And like he'll actually like start pranking or doing things to other celebrities. Like my boyfriend was telling me that at C2E2, like he came on with a proton pack to Ernie Hudson. He's like, "Hey Ernie, we gotta go!" He started running away with a proton pack.
That's hilarious.
It's like,
That's awesome.
we need more people like him because he's just amazing.
Okay, so one more question before we do our shout-outs and wrap it up. What celebrity have you met at a con that was just not very nice?
Ooh. Let's see. Like the one that you're like expecting them to be nice, but they're not.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. I'm trying to remember. I know there's been a few, and I'm trying to think like which one really stood out. Oh gosh, I'm trying to remember. Now I can't think of it. Because it's always the ones that leave like a good impression that you remember the most. Like the ones that usually like, oh, you know, just sign and like kind of like, okay, you're done, you can go this way, or like, oh,
Yeah.
the ones who don't take that extra little bit of moment to, you know, at least say hi to you, like you kind of just like brush it off. And like I honestly like right now, like I cannot remember one. I know they're out there, and I know I've experienced it.
Well, that's good, though. They didn't leave a huge impression on you. It's kind of like, there's so many good positive things that I'm going to take away. I'm just going to, you know, my brain doesn't have room for this.
Like, I'll always remember more the people, like the celebrities that, like, started joking around with me or, like, had no issues with taking an extra photo. Because,
That's so awesome.
like, you'll always remember those people a lot more than the ones that, you know, just gave you a hard time or a terrible experience. Usually then, like, I'm like, you know what, they probably had a bad day or had something.
I do the same thing. I say the same thing, like, maybe they just had a bad day and give them another chance. It's all right. You know,
Yeah.
everybody has a bad day.
Yeah, so usually I just give it to them, like saying, you know what, they could have had, like, no sleep or just came in, or they could have had somebody earlier today that really ruined their mood. There's a million different factors, so I always like to give them the benefit of a doubt. And, like, I try not to judge people, but if it happens multiple times, then I'll start, like, putting two and two together, but I haven't had a bad experience yet.
That's fantastic. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and do my shout-outs.
Mm-hmm.
I have Intergalactic Geek Alliance, The Batcave by Intergalactic Geek Alliance, Avengers Mansion by Intergalactic Geek Alliance, and Lady Venom's Lair. Thank you so much for sharing us, and I want to thank a couple of individual people. My friend Bree, I was trying to coax her on to come be a guest co-host, but she found out there were cameras, and she was like, no, I can't do it. Thank you for listening and for watching. My daddy, thank you. He's one fan. And Tony Beatrice, whom you know, he owns TV Photography, and he's just a fan in general, and he's watching. Thank you so much. And for all of you others out there in internet land, thank you. We would not be us without you. Mm-hmm. So thank you for watching and liking our pages. We love you. Now, do you have anybody you'd like to shout out?
Oh, gosh. I got a laundry list. The first one will be my boyfriend, Jerry LaRussa, Blackleaf Creative. Since we work so well together, and he's sitting right there, has been very nice and quiet the whole time, was thinking of doing some shenanigans behind me, and I'm glad he didn't. Of course, my mom, because she's always been supportive, even though she has absolutely no idea or doesn't get the culture at all, but she's still supportive because she's my amazing mom. I've every single one of my friends, because they've always been awesome and amazing, especially like the Louisiana cosplayers and the N7 Elite Mass Effect cosplayers. Yeah, like it's like there's so many people that I could thank, like so many friends, so many people, pretty much anybody that I know, or even the people that have come to my tables, like, I know your artwork, or I've seen your stuff on Reddit. Thank you to all of you guys, too, because you guys just make me feel like, I gotta keep doing this. I gotta do something bigger, better, awesome, more Mass Effect. Ooh, World of Warcraft. I gotta do some more. Like, it's that always keeps giving me that little bit of fire under me that's like, okay, I gotta keep doing this. And I thank every single person that has, like, pretty much enriched my life with just a little bit more to enjoy being the geek and nerd that I was told growing up not to be. So, thank you to everybody that's in this awesome, crazy geek nerddom world that we are in.
I have one more person to thank. Is Lady Rach, my beautiful co-host here. Thank you so much. I know this is last minute, but you are awesome, as always. And you put this whole thing together all the time, and you work really hard, and I feel like you need and deserve recognition for that. So thank you for joining me tonight and being a part of this, but more importantly, just thank you for everything that you've created. We love you.
Yes. A round of applause, because it's a round. Haha.
Thank you. And I'd like to thank you, Rebel, for coming on to the show. I really appreciated it, and I enjoyed so much talking with you.
It was a real pleasure. I had a lot of fun.
As me as well, as even though I had some technical difficulties, I am a huge fan. I became even more so tonight, though, finding all this interesting things about you. You are awesome, and just keep up the great work. And maybe you should come and visit SenchiCon one year up here in Alaska. We'd love having you.
I'll make it my way up there eventually. It's a little cold, just a little cold up there.
It is, and it's so beautiful you wouldn't even mind. And when SenchiCon comes, it's not cold, so that's in September.
Oh, okay. Then not as cold.
But thank you again so much for coming on our show. We'd love to have you back again. So, when you're not busy, and you can, I'm sure Lady Rage would agree with me. I think that you, maybe if you were up for it, every once in a while, come and guest co-host with us. You are so awesome and so upbeat and fun, and you have a lot of interesting things and views and topics. So thank you again for joining us.
Oh, definitely. It was a lot of fun. I will definitely be doing this again.
Well, fun. Well, we aim for fun and relax, but and just the fun, really.
There is one more shout out, honey. I just got a thing on my Twitter goes to my phone. It can irritate you, but it goes to the phone. And Raven Desiree Mika, she tweeted us about the show.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Raven. We appreciate all shares and views and likes.
And also we need to thank, and I should have told you, sorry, but thank you, Sky Blue, for creating our song. Sorry that I wasn't prepared to play it tonight, but check out Sky Blue. The song is Gamers Geek Radio Show.
And the last thing before we say goodbye to you and good night is next week we will be bringing to you the latest, our favorite books. What we love for old classics, but also new books. So why don't you come prepared if you'd like, and join us in the comments and tell us what your favorite book is and what you'd like to see us talk about. So, and tomorrow we will have Gamer Geek Radio Show Roundtable. So join us again tomorrow. You'll love it, I promise. So everyone have a great night, and thank you for watching.
So long, and thanks for all the fish.
Good night, and this is Lady Rage.
Signing out.
Oh yeah, signing off. I got it tonight, don't I?
Yes.
Night.